Hey there, it's Walt. So I have a challenging question to ask you this week. Are you wasting enough time? It's a really uncomfortable question for me to ask because for decades I actually measured the value of my existence in 6-minute increments as a lawyer. Time was money, money is time. You don't waste time. And I can remember way back to my teenage years hearing the voices of my parents. Are you wasting your time? Don't waste your time. And the idea of wasting time is, it's like, wow, that's like a high crime or misdemeanor to waste time, because time is precious, isn't it? It's time goes by. Time is all we have in a sense, and we want to hold on to it. We want to manage it. It's a lot of the work I do. As a executive coach, I help people manage their time so that they can show up and be productive and effective within the time they have. And yet, it's important, it's critically important for us to intentionally waste time. I was grappling with a problem in a area of the business around teaching a webinar that I wanted to put together. And I kept on dancing around the outside edges of it. It just wasn't coming together for me at all. And I'd go down one path and I'd try to drive forward with it, and it just didn't land. And I would take another approach, and it just none of what I was working on, and believe me, I was working hard on a driving forward, none of it just felt good. It just didn't come together. And then I stood back from it. I actually went out and took a long walk along the sea, and all of a sudden the pieces parts started to settle in and it got clear. And I came back and I was actually able to map it out. In a moment, it just all came together because I had stepped back and dared to allow the space. And one of the things that high achievers tend to do when they're under stress, when there's environmental stress like so many of us are grappling with right now, when there's financial challenges, whenever we get under pressure, high achievers tend to double down and to work harder. And of course, that's cultural. That's culturally built in, that in order to succeed, we need to work longer, harder, faster. And that to do otherwise somehow renders us unmotivated or lazy. And we have these two sides of our brains. We have the creative side of our brain, and we have that highly developed intellectual side of our brain. And so many of us live almost entirely on that highly developed intellectual side of our brain. And the result is that we allow that creative side to atrophy because we don't give it the same amount of focus or attention or time or care. And it actually takes some practice, some intention, some discipline to reconnect with that creative side of ourselves. And so this paradoxically requires that we intentionally set aside some time to waste some time. Yes, to actually set aside some time for creativity, to set aside some time to get off the grid, to set aside some time to sit in the rocker and just think and to reflect and to just be and to allow it all to settle. You know, I've talked before about the gifts of meditation being like a holiday globe that you shake up and you put down on the table and the flakes begin to settle and one gets clear. And that's one way to get some clarity and perspective is through a meditation practice to allow those flakes to settle. But we can also do it in so many other ways, so as long as we give ourselves the permission and the time to waste some time. So right now we have so much coming at us, and the boundaries of time have gotten very, very fuzzy in this time of pandemic. It's like We're driving along in the fog all of the time and everything seems to get mashed together, and that can cause some stress and panic, that incites us to drive even further and harder. And I want to invite you to step back from that and from an intentional perspective to actually carve out some time, to waste some time, and the return will be astounding. Make it a great rest of the day, great rest of the week. Talk soon.